Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
In a world where beer was allowed with geeks, we talked about things. Hi, welcome to Beer with Geeks, the podcast where we reminisce about our geeky childhoods with our ungeeky beer. I'm Tim.
And I'm Frank.
And today we're going to be talking about In a World Where There Were Dinosaurs.
You did that part.
But it's really fun to talk like this.
Okay, Don LaFontaine,
I wanted to do this as a living and then discovered that it was a really hard field to break into, and so I didn't bother. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park.
Yes.
One of the great films of all time, not even of the 90s.
Not even of Jeff Goldblum's career.
Or Sam Neill's, for that matter.
Or Richard Attenborough.
Or Richard Attenborough. Anyway, all of them. The dude, the lawyer who got eaten on the toilet. The best film of his career. So we're going to talk about Jurassic Park. Obviously, like I said, one of the great films
Starring Wayne Knight.
Newman got eaten by a dinosaur. And Jerry was very happy. Anyway, Jurassic Park. If you've been living in a prehistoric cave, came out in 1993, and starring, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, Richard Attenborough, who passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, just a few months ago. Very sad. Great actor, great director too. Did you know? Side note on Richard Attenborough. Before we talk about Jurassic Park, did you know he filmed? When he directed Gandhi, he paid for that out of pocket because nobody wanted to fund it. I did not realize he financed that.
Yeah, he financed it because everyone thought that nobody wants to watch a movie about a skinny Indian. And so we're not going to pay for this movie. How nuts is that?
Some of the best movies ever have been self-funded, like Star Wars.
Star Wars, Black Swan.
Yep.
Yeah. Self-funded films. Yeah. I'm sure there are many more that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, it's amazing though.
Yeah. So Jurassic Park. When was the 1993? So you were how old?
4.
You were 4.
Yeah, I did not see it when it came out. I didn't see it till I was
4. Oh yeah, because your birthday is
89,
89. Yeah.
I don't think I saw it until probably I was 11 or 12.
Oh, this is going back to I didn't watch movies when I was a little kid thing.
Yeah. But this was actually that was before my sort of personal movie renaissance, so to speak, like where I sort of like, oh, movies are cool and I like them.
Yeah.
It was we had been studying, like dinosaurs and stuff in like 6th grade. And so my teacher at the end of the year was like, all right, we're going to watch Jurassic Park. It's the last day of school.
You were how old?
Like 11 to 12.
Oh, okay, never mind. I had it you were younger, and I was like, your teacher let
6th grade.
Like, yeah, okay, never mind. I can't do math.
Okay, yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah, so yeah, and that was the first time I saw it, and I really, really liked it. Like, really, really loved that movie right from the start. I was like, oh my God, this is a great movie. I think we didn't finish it. I remember. We didn't finish it. And it was the last day of school. We didn't have time to finish it. And I remember my parents picking me up from school, getting in the car, and being like, can we go pick up Jurassic Park so we can finish it? I really...
Not finishing that movie is something I can totally relate to.
Yeah. So anyway, so I finished it at home, and that was it. Why don't you tell your story of seeing it for the first time?
The year was 1993. It really was.
So you were how old then?
I was 5. I was about to turn 6, but the movie came out in June.
So just before your birthday.
And so it was before my birthday. And so I was 5, and I was a huge dinosaur kid.
Oh, yes.
Like, huge. I had this...
You were a huge kid. Like, you were just
I was
like... You
massive.
were built like
I was
a
wider
stegosaurus.
than I was tall. And so... That's not true. That would have been terrible.
People came out and pulled out cue cards, and they would just hurl insults at you about how big you are. Like, when you're on the beach, they tell you to get back in the water.
Call back
to last week.
And so, you're right. And so that was terrible. Explains a lot about me now. But I was a big fan of dinosaurs. So much so I wanted to be a paleontologist when I was 5. Having known what the word paleontologist was.
That's pretty impressive.
Although I did go back and forth between archaeologist and paleontologist because I wasn't sure at 5 what the difference was. And so I now, fortunately, know the difference.
I can tell you the difference.
Archaeologist is Indiana Jones, and
paleontologist is pale.
Paleontologist is Ross Geller. Okay. I now know the difference. And so, given
she's gonna be a scientist.
And so I had this purple binder filled with like dinosaur facts. And, the toys, and I
was fascinated with dinosaurs at that age.
How are you not fascinated with dinosaurs?
I feel like when you were in kindergarten, did you like study dinosaurs a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think everyone does. I remember whales and dinosaurs from kindergarten. That's all.
Did you study whales, the part of the UK, or the ocean animal?
The ocean animal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember learning about whales and learning about dinosaurs.
Okay.
And then learning the alphabet and stuff like that. But like those are the 2 big things I remember. Literally big things.
Giant things that roam the earth.
Animals. And dinosaurs fascinated me from the very start. And so I think the only reason I hadn't seen Jurassic Park sooner was because my parents were like, "Oh no, that's a scary. You can't watch that. Scary. That's a scary movie. That's for big kids."
It's amazing that your parents talk like that and you talk like you do now.
I know. It's really... I had to overcome great adversity to get to this point. So it was 1993, and you saw Jurassic Park.
1993. And, okay, so begged. My brother and I, who's 2 years older than I am... all right, before I even start this, I'm going to disclaim. Dear older brother, I am sorry I'm about to tell this story. If you listen to this, which I'm sure you don't, I do apologize for making you sound like an idiot. But do remember, I have been telling this story since the age of 7.
For like 20 years.
I've been literally telling the story for 20 years. I've been telling the story for over 20 years. You should be over it by now.
Let's just say that your brother is a very strong individual.
Yes.
A physically strong man.
Lou Ferrigno size, yes.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah.
His job requires him to be very fit.
Circus acrobat, you're right.
Yep. Yeah, that's the job, right. Very, very fit, to be the father of Robin and to tragically die at the hands of the mob in the circus.
I should call him before
you should tell him before that happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yes, his job does require him to be very physically fit, and so he's a big guy in the sense that he's very jacked. So I feel like that needs to be kind of known as backstory before you tell
my
this.
Big bad older brother.
Right.
So before I even get so when
his brother's a badass.
Yeah, he is. And so his dog's name is Thor. You don't get much more badass than that. I mean, his name is Odin. So I mean, let's be serious. Yeah. So, Odin Grayson.
Right. Yeah. So crazy, man.
So crazy.
So weird.
So weird. Anyway, fans that don't this is jokes that only comic fans get, like, really. And so anyway, so even when I was a little kid, my brother and I would always like play and fight and like as whatever. And my brother's always been naturally strong. Like even before he packed on a 500,000 pounds of muscle, he has always been really, really strong. And so my big bad older brother and I, he and I were also like biffles. Like, don't get me wrong. Like it wasn't always like, I hate you and I never want to see you again. We rarely ever have been to those moments in our lives. And so we begged my parents to let us go see Jurassic Park, who were very, very stringent about the kind of films that they allowed us to see.
Especially at that age.
Especially at 5 and 7. Like, that's not...
or 7 and 9.
No, I was 5,
you were 5
and he was 7.
Okay, yeah.
Because how old were you? 4. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and so, my parents finally concede, and they let us go. I'm also going to out my sister with an embarrassing story at the same time, who's 3 years younger than I am, while I'm sharing secrets about the family. And so my mom says, and my parents say, okay, Mom will take you. Dad stayed home with my sister, and that night, while we were seeing Jurassic Park, my sister was singing the song Happy Talk on the toilet, and I can prove this because there's a videotape of it.
Wow.
And so she was,
okay.
Yeah, she was like 1. I mean, well, no, if I was 5, she was
like 2.
Just barely 2.
Yeah.
It's adorable. My sister is now the circus leader for my brother's acrobat show. So,
Sure.
you know, it really came in handy.
Which is really weird because she also sings opera, so it's like really weird to have like a
really
operatic
operatic ringleader.
Yeah, we'll let you figure out which half of that is true.
Yeah. And so anyway, so my brother and I go to see the theater, and it was the theater we always went to. It was so I still go to this theater from time to time. I'm pretty sure it was theater number 5, and we sat on the left side, and it was pretty close to the screen. Myself, my mom in the middle, and my brother on the aisle. Watching the movie, the beginning of the movie starts, you know, like the boom sound, you know, and it's like boom, and it's like setting the mood, and the man gets, spoilers for Jurassic Park, the man gets eaten by the velociraptor, and I remember being like, I'm not even seeing a dinosaur, and this is amazing. And my mom clutching my arm and like sending the seat back, and they didn't move, so I don't know how she did it, but I remember like the seat moving back, and she was like terrified of that scene. I'm sitting totally enraptured. I'm so good. I'm 5 years old.
Enraptured?
If there was a pun jar. Okay, that's the second time in 2 episodes we've talked about a pun jar. I'm instating a pun jar.
We might have to institute this.
I'm instituting a pun jar. Okay. We can write it down for now until I get a pun jar, but 25 cents every time you make a pun.
I owe you.
It goes in the pun jar, and that is a promise of... No, I'm not going to say it. I want to save myself. I'm not going to be the one to put 25 cents in the jar first. So anyway, and so I'm being so good. I'm 5 years old, and I'm waiting for the dinosaurs to show up, and I'm waiting, because they're talking about a bunch of stuff that I don't understand because I'm 5.
Amber and bugs and life finds a way
bugs and whatever else. But Jurassic Park was actually on TV not that long ago, and I just happened to turn on the TV and I was watching it, and I remember the scene in which the guy's floating down the river right at the beginning, at like the second scene of the film.
Yeah, early.
And even like I'm brought back to that moment of my childhood. I'm like, wow, the jungle. And I'm like, it
captures you though.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg. He just captures you no matter what age you are. There's something for you, even if you don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Same way in which Episode 1 came out and no one understood what Trade Federation meant. It's the same thing.
Oh, Star Wars Episode 1. Yeah.
Same thing. It enraptures you. Trade embargoes, dinosaurs. And so
it's true.
So
true.
So true.
Trade embargoes are like dinosaurs.
Yeah, trade embargoes are like dinosaurs. And so anyway, so the movie's going on, and the Brontosaurus shows up and is like, welcome to Jurassic Park. Anyway, see our John Williams episode for more on the music of Jurassic Park. Anyway, and so I'm there, and I'm watching this movie, and the dinosaurs showed up, and thanks for stopping because I couldn't tell the story with that music. I was like getting enraptured by the music.
It's not a word.
Yes, it is.
I was trying to trip you up.
It's not a pun because it's a real word.
I was trying to make you say enraptured.
I know. It's not going to work. And so, fun fact: brontosauruses were not real dinosaurs. They were a combined dinosaur of two different parts, Brachiosaurus and something else.
Yes,
it was
but
discovered a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah. It wasn't like they were made up for the film. It was just a misconception.
No dinosaur was made up for the film. Proportions were changed.
Proportions.
The Velociraptors were actually quite smaller than they were in the Jurassic Park
But they
films.
were more badass this way.
Yes, they were. Anyway, so it's like taking me 15 minutes to tell this story.
It kind of is.
And so I'm going to skip forward. And so I'm being so good. We're watching the film, and it's the scene in which the Tyrannosaurus escapes from its fenced-in area, its enclosure. And the kids are in the car, and they're like, what happened to the goat? Smack. Ah! All that stuff. The T-Rex breaks out. Malcolm hates being right all the time, and all this stuff is happening. It's chaos theory everywhere. And the T-Rex goes to the kid's car, and Dr. Grant's like, turn the light off. And the T-Rex's eye comes down into the flashlight of the kid's car, and it dilates and moves away. I'm living the dream. Dinosaurs are real. They exist 20 feet away from me. My brother, at that very moment, leans into my mom quietly at first and says, Mom, we have to leave now. And my mother says, shh, no. You're like, no, just be quiet. It's okay. It'll be over soon. My brother then stands up in the middle of the theater. Mom, we have to leave now. Sit down. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Just sit down. It's not a huge deal. No, Mom, we have to leave now. Okay, we have to leave. Second son, we have to go. And so I had to get up from my seat and walk out of the theater and never see Jurassic Park in theaters ever again. Living the dream. All I wanted in life was to be a paleontologist / maybe archaeologist, because I wasn't sure of the difference. Was not allowed to see because my big, bad, stronger brother got scared. And then to cap everything off,
Oh, God.
we go to the toy store in which there are Jurassic Park toys galore.
Sure.
Okay? We didn't go that night, but, in the realm of maybe a week or two.
Sure.
And there's a little dinosaur that's not in the film. There's a toy of a dinosaur. And my brother says to me, that dinosaur is in the movie in the theater, but it's not going to be in the cut that comes out on tape because we missed it. You dickwad. You're the reason I didn't see it in the theater. And so, anyway, a couple of years ago, Jurassic Park was released in 3D in the theaters. Texted my brother, we're going to see this movie together in the theater. You and I will sit through this movie 20 years in the making. We will watch this movie in the theater. The outcome, we did not go see that movie in theaters together.
Really?
He still didn't see it in theaters with me. When it comes out for the 50th or whatever it does next time, in 4D or 5D, or when the dinosaurs really eat you, we will go see this movie together in theaters. I can't even tell you. I've gotten, I remember being in high school and in a creative writing class, and I had to write a story that was true and embellish or whatever. I wrote this story as is, got an A from a notoriously difficult grader, mind you. I got this A on the paper, but this paper was fabulous. It was hysterical. Does your brother know this is how you feel? And yes,
wow.
He is well aware. Yeah.
He is all too aware.
And you know what? It was not all too easy.
All too easy.
Anyway, yeah. So that's my Jurassic Park story, and it's funny. I'm exasperated after telling it. I'm still oh my god! I just wanted. It'd be like you being the biggest Superman fan in the world.
Yeah.
Going to watch Christopher Reeve in a movie. For the first, Superman's 1979. Eight. Thanks. I knew 79 didn't sound right, and 77 was Star Wars. So, 1978, and he basically, it would be like you watch the whole thing with Krypton and the Kent farm and him in the Arctic, and then you see him fly away from the Arctic before he even hits Metropolis, and so it'd be like, okay, we gotta go.
Wait, what?
But the Superman, he's a flying. I just saw him. Like, I don't know why you
Is that
say
because I'm
things in
Italian?
plural. Yeah.
Is that because I'm Italian?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what,
exactly.
That's
Like,
racist.
It's a me. It's a Superman. I used to see him. He's wearing a blue.
That's racist, Tim.
It's not because you're sitting right here and smiling.
So I freaking love Dinosaurs as well, and I freaking love this movie. Like, I cannot contain my love for this movie.
Why do you love it? Is it because of the dinosaurs, or is it something
because
more?
of the dinosaurs, dude.
Did you know the dinosaurs are only in like
12 minutes of the
12
movie.
minutes.
It's like nothing.
No, there's an extra. Someone did the number
I know.
out, and
I know the screen time that they actually get.
I want to say 8, and I know that's wrong because somebody did the timeout for the new Godzilla film, and Godzilla's only in 8 minutes of the film combined together.
But
so
it's
I know
in
not that,
they're in a
it's supposed to be, I
fraction.
want to say in between like 8 and 20 minutes of the film for a 2+ hour
movie. Yeah, I know it's a long movie, and yes, they're in a tiny fraction of it, but it's Steven Spielberg. It's the Jaws effect. You don't need to see them to be terrified of them.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg's not original intent for Jaws, even mind
Right,
you. It's
right,
because
true.
The shark looks fake
True.
to him.
Right.
I still think it looks real, but whatever.
Well, you know, creative people, and yeah, but it is still the Jaws effect, where it's you're terrified of what you don't know, of what you don't see.
That's true.
And that's, I think,
That's true. I don't see your legs right now. I am terrified.
It's
that
scary,
they are near
man.
Mine.
No, yeah. That's they are the dinosaurs are at the beginning of the movie when you don't see them, and you know they're wreaking havoc. You can't see them yet. That is when they're maybe at their scariest. That T-Rex scene, though. If there's a scene that's terrifying that stands out in your mind as being scary, that is definitely one of them.
You don't think it's the Velociraptor scene in the kitchen?
That's scary. You're right. That is scary. But I always think of the T-Rex scene. That's the one that stands out in my mind the most.
I agree. Well, I think that's the big
It's
impact.
the iconic
moment.
scene.
Yeah, I would agree. That's even beyond the Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus scene from like when they first see live dinosaurs in a full wide shot and everything like that. Yeah,
that's probably the second scene that comes to mind. I think it's like they're just like, oh my god, they're just grazing. Like, look, oh my god, they're here.
Oh my fucking god, it's a dinosaur. Oh my god, what the fuck? I didn't. That's from the internet. I can't claim credit for. I can't claim credit for that.
Right.
I'm sorry for the swears.
Yeah.
Oh my freaking. Okay, there we go. I fixed it.
Yeah. That I think is the second most. It's just like, oh my god, the majestic, creatures that are just grazing in this field. That's awesome. I think that the T-Rex scene comes to mind first for me. Being chased by the Velociraptors through that field also is terrifying.
Through the field, that's Lost World.
That's what I said. Did
you say Lost World?
Yeah,
I thought
totally.
You did. Yeah, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
That's
think
what I
you
said.
did, but I'm gonna go. We can transition into that moment, if you will. No, one thing on Velociraptors, I did not know this. All right, well, just basically speaking, Jurassic Park changed visual effects in movies.
Oh yes,
forever.
Oh yes. Yeah, and I would say that still kind of holds up to a large degree.
If you watch it, it holds up. There are very few scenes where you're like, ooh, that looks like CG. No, sir. It is very much, even in terms of storytelling, acting, sound, cinematography, it holds. It is by far one of the more timeless of films. Even know what really takes the movie out of the time more than anything else? It's like the computers.
Yeah. The computers and the wardrobe.
Yeah, I would argue the wardrobe, but most of them are in their own way kind of like in this like safari,
the archaeological
khaki,
the khaki
look, and so really just the lawyer's suit looks kind of 90s. Yeah.
The computers for sure though. I definitely agree with that. But yeah, other than that,
I mean, even the kids' outfits are just kind of like, they're just kid outfits. There's really nothing. Yeah. There's nothing, even haircuts, stuff like that. There's nothing really overtly 90s about it.
Laura Dern's hair is kind of 90s.
A ponytail with bangs?
But the way she wears, I don't know.
I'll just go with it. I'll yes, absolutely. Laura Dern's
at
haircut.
the very least, Sam Neill's hair being as poofy as it is.
Don't you dare talk about Sam Neill's hair. He was Merlin,
listen.
damn it.
All right, Jeff Goldblum's chest is
It's
so
gorgeous.
90s.
90s, yes. That's what you were going to say. Actually, Jeff Goldblum, I said that for a reason. Jeff Goldblum was like a Hollywood hottie at one point. Which
Hard to believe.
Hey, he's a handsome man. I don't care what you say. I'm straight, and I think Jeff Goldblum's a handsome man.
Well, he's a handsome man.
But the scene in which like his leg is broken, and like his shirt's unbuttoned and he's like all sweaty, like laying on the table. That's totally like Jeff Goldblum is a hottie. Like it has it written all over it.
But it's so over the top.
Oh,
he's like glistening.
I know. It's very humid in Costa Rica.
Life finds a way
to make me look sexy.
Spared no expense. Wait, that's not me.
No. Spared no expense in making Jeff Goldblum seem like the sexiest man alive.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's like the Jeff Goldblum show. It's the Jeff Goldblum show in a lot of ways.
Well, Lost World is definitely more of the Jeff Goldblum show.
Lost World a lot
more. To go back to that. I do like The Lost World quite a bit. It does not hold the same way. It's got the same themes. The first movie is really about Dr. Grant learning to be a father figure. That's a classic Steven Spielberg trope. The father-son relationship.
Yes.
Jurassic Park: The Lost World. The sequel is the father-daughter relationship. It's Jeff Goldblum learning to be a doctor. He's learning to be a parent.
Yeah.
And then Jurassic Park 3 is again the parent trope. It's two split parents coming together for the sake of saving their son and everything like that. Mm-hmm. It's just that's what Jurassic Park bases its stories about. I'll be interested to see what Jurassic World has to do in that area. Will they continue that trend?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that, Tim.
Chris Pratt is in that movie.
I know, but
I'm not saying that's not a reason to worry or not worry.
Yeah.
I'm just stating a fact.
As much as I adore Chris Pratt,
do you adore Chris Pratt the same way? I think that Jeff Goldblum unbuttoned is
yes, in
gorgeous.
a purely straight man way.
Yeah,
but
beer.
And being a beer way. No, but I really love Chris Pratt, but I am worried. Just on principle, I am worried about a fourth movie in this franchise so many years after, and in fact, even the third movie so many years after. I don't know. That was concerning to me, and that was
3 came out 2000. Because I remember this because 2001. All right, and because there was the trailer for the first Spider-Man movie attached to Jurassic Park 3, in which he puts the helicopter in between the two towers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yep. And that was taken down because it was a couple months right before.
And that was attached.
It was
that was attached to Jurassic Park 3.
That's how I remember seeing that
Jurassic Park
trailer.
3, 2001. So close.
So yeah, it was just a couple. Yeah, but that would make sense. So it was just. Yeah, it was just a couple
just
months.
A few months before 9/11. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yep. Yeah. I mean that we're talking. All right. So it was 93 for the first one, 97 for The Lost World.
It's a long gap in between.
4 years is a pretty long gap.
Yeah, for a sequel.
Yeah. And then 4 years later, again, Jurassic Park 3.
Right.
And now we're talking 14, 15 years later, whenever that's slated to come out.
That is a long time for a franchise.
Long time.
Agree. Historically, not the smartest move.
I mean, usually those don't do great, right? When we're talking over a decade later.
But you're also talking Jurassic Park. And now, when I say this, let's talk about it this way. When I say Jurassic Park, you don't immediately think Jurassic Park trilogy. You just think
Jurassic Park.
You think Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You think the feeling that you get when you watch the first one.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
my case, bitter resentment and love.
Towards your brother.
Towards my brother. And so that's just but other people have less, have feelings of less harmful behavior.
Yes.
And so they don't necessarily remember the velociraptors of Jurassic Park 3 had feathers. Because just speaking just scientifically for a second, because I still kind of follow the dinosaur world, even though I'm not a paleontologist. They were little tiny holes were found inside the skulls of velociraptors, making the belief that velociraptors actually had feathers, which is where the feathers from Jurassic Park 3 came from, as opposed to the more reptilian scaly look of. Yeah, so they were just kind of moving in that trend. I don't think it was a good idea. I think you should stay consistent in
Consistency.
films. But, I mean, velociraptors were historically also smaller. So, but great movie villain. Smart like dolphins, like a natural born killer that's a smart like a dolphin, almost close to humans. Like, that's scary.
Yeah.
You would not survive that. There's no way. Also, fun fact, a person in a suit. Did you know that? It's not CG or a puppet. Like the kitchen scene, those are dudes in suits.
What? Wait,
I know. Watch. I only just discovered this because I bought them on Blu-ray when they came out. Behind the scenes, the velociraptors, most of the time, they had like different versions for different things. They were either like the animatronics, they were the puppets, sometimes they're CG, like the jumping onto the table. That's CG. But dude, they're just walking around. That's a guy in a suit.
I don't believe you right now.
No, you can look it up. I swear to God, it's a guy in a suit.
Wow.
How nuts is that? But that's why it holds up, because it's real.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, movie magic real, but
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I didn't know. I knew animatronics, I knew CG, but I did not think there was really anything significant.
A guy in a suit.
In costume. I didn't think there was any significant parts in costume. That's amazing.
I want to talk about the magic of the human body for a second and the fact that it can do stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, that was it. I'm done. It was a second. So that's all I'm going to say.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Good talk. All right.
I thought so.
So now that we know that the Trade Federation is dinosaurs.
Well, I mean, there's a line in there somewhere, but the only one I can think of was, no, there are two of them.
Yeah.
I should not have made that comparison.
All right, I think we're done. Yeah. We're tapped out.
Yeah. Oh, that was a pun because it's Beer with Geeks, tapped. 25 cents goes in the 25 cents goes in the pun jar. You are the first one to do it. I did it. I didn't make a pun this whole time. High five to myself.
Self five. Ooh, all right.
Ooh, it's there. All right. Any last thoughts?
I think that everyone listening will be really, really satisfied if they look us up on iTunes.
More sad than I was when I saw Jurassic Park when I was 5. I'll tell you that much.
Well, not that you're bitter or anything.
No, not at all.
No, of course. And you know what they should do when they get to our iTunes page?
I think they should rate us, Frank.
That's a great idea, Tim.
And know what they should rate us, Frank?
What?
As highly as the Film Academy rates Jurassic Park, which is 5-star rating.
5 stars. Yeah. That's pretty. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that. Yeah. What should they do when they get to Twitter?
They should tweet at us because that's what Twitter is for.
Oh, okay.
At Beer with Geeks.
Yeah.
Send us questions, comments, concerns. Photos with beer.
Whatever.
Other fun things.
Yeah.
How
about if they're like, in their email client and they're like, oh, I don't know who to email. I'm always thinking of like, who should I talk to?
I do get that way sometimes.
Who should I send a letter to?
I need to send a letter to somebody.
Because it's 1993 and I want to send a letter.
Of the internet. And I'm just saying to myself, you should email beerwithgeeks@gmail.com.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because we would love to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns.
Brilliant.
Photos with beer. You can do the same thing on Twitter. You can do the same thing on Gmail. The internet is a magical place.
Spared no expense.
Oh, that's pun number 2.
It's not a pun.
No.
That is not a pun. It's a reference.
No.
It's a reference.
All right,
That's a reference. It's a reference.
I'm going to let that slide.
Fly like a pterodactyl?
No, that's a pun. Screw that. Screw that. That's not a reference. That's 50 cents for you.
Tim?
We're going to donate the money to charity. So
right.
get ready for
All
this.
right.
Okay.
We'll do the Ice Bucket Challenge and
that ship has sailed.
It's sailed.
It is. I'm not going to say anything because I refuse to say a pun.
Tim,
Just cheer me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This podcast is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. All character names, sound effects, and quotes are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Thought Bubble Audio Studios unless otherwise indicated.